Hey everybody, welcome to GGS Railways. My name is Greg. This is my YouTube channel. All right, tonight I have something really special for you guys. Tonight we're going to talk about the K-Line story. All this that you see right here is manufactured by K-Line. What was K-Line, you may ask? Well, you won't want to miss this. This is the craziest story you might ever hear. Okay, so before we get into the story of K-Line, one must go back in history quite a bit prior to K-Line and talk about its main competitor at the time, Lionel Trains. As you may or may not know, most corporations are guided by, or to some degree, guided by the original principles of their founders, the original ideas. And as such, what you may not know is that Joshua Lionel Cohen, the founder of Lionel Trains, was an inventor. And prior to model trains, he invented many things. And he had I don't know if it was a character flaw or just a low self-esteem, but he would invent things and they'd be good things, and he'd let other people tell him that it was dumb or would never go anywhere or whatever. So he'd abandon the idea, then other people would take his ideas and, carry on with them. So needless to say, that kind of left a sour taste in his mouth. And when he did Lionel Trains, founded Lionel Trains, he was very, very protective of his intellectual property, his trade secrets, his ideas, and to this day, Lionel Trains, trade secrets is a big thing among big companies. So with that in mind, let's proceed with the story of K-Line. K-Line started out as a company called KMD. KMD was formed when American Flyer went defunct, and KMD bought out the rights to produce some of the S-Scales tracks, and I believe some of the rolling stock as well. And so they were doing that. They were, by all rights, doing pretty well at that. And then later on, KMD partnered up with Lionel Trains, and they were kind of a subcontractor. They made some of the parts and supplies for Lionel to produce their model trains. And once again, they were, by all rights, pretty successful at that. Their big break came when Marx Trains went out of business in around 1980, and KMD then changed their name to K-Line, and they purchased what was left of Marx Trains and proceeded. The story has it that the founders of K-Line Trains, they actually had to go through many a dilapidated warehouse with the roofs falling in and stuff, and literally sift through debris to find old Marx train molds and so forth, and they started manufacturing their old trains using those old molds. And by all rights, the first few offerings were not that great. They weren't well received. As time went on, K-Line improved their manufacturing processes and got pretty good at it. They were a strong contender in the entry-level train market. One of the things that came along with the Marx acquisition was Plasticville, and they modified and improved some of the Plasticville. You may have seen where I did a live stream where we put together some Plasticville, and I said, boy, I don't remember Plasticville being this hard. And then later on, we looked and we saw that it was indeed K-Line. Well, this is some of the new and improved Plasticville that they did, and I will say that the improvements were probably well received because they look quite nice as opposed to what your typical, at the time, Plasticville from Marx would have been. Anyway, as they continued to improve, Lionel started to notice Lionel was kind of predatory, and when I first heard the story, I actually was kind of like, oh, poor K-Line. But as the story developed, I wasn't so much anyway, you'll see when we get there. So anyway, K-Line continued to manufacture, continued to get better and better and better. Now, Lionel was not particularly thrilled for a bunch of reasons. First off, because they're kind of cutting into their profits on the entry-level stuff. And secondly, because, you may recall that KMD started out as kind of being a subcontractor for Lionel, and that just didn't sit real well with Lionel. Lionel just really was kind of, they wanted to be the top dog. They wanted to be the one that did the trains. Their relationship with Marx was basically kind of a cool one. I mean, they kind of did some jabs at each other, but you know, you may or may not know this, but Marx was not much of a competitor. You know, they just wanted to manufacture toys. They, you know, for the longest time they resisted even advertising. You know, they just weren't all about that. They really were all about the toys. It kind of warms my heart to even think that. So when, you know, K-Line bought up the Marx line, you know, it really ruffled Lionel's feathers. So to make matters worse, to kind of turn up the heat a little bit, K-Line kind of decided that they were going to try to get into the high-level market. And that really, I mean, that caught Lionel's attention big time. Now, K-Line, by all rights, was doing pretty well, and they were competing against Lionel, and then something happened, and, you know, I know that hindsight is 20/20, but you just gotta wonder. You just gotta wonder. Wait till you hear this. So, okay, K-Line comes out with this line of stuff, including specifically one transformer that looks remarkably like Lionel's. Lionel, of course, notices, and they started looking into it, and I mean, it's identical. Mysteriously identical. So upon further investigation, they find that they have somebody, their chief engineer to be exact, who has gone to work for K-Line, at the same time working for Lionel. And guess what? Company secrets were being shared, and so Lionel was not very happy about that. Lionel wound up filing a lawsuit. Imagine that, right? So this lawsuit was very contentious in the model train world. I mean, you had people strongly on one side, strongly on the other. Now, unlike the MTH Lionel battle, which I talked about in another video, this one was a little more, I won't say it was contentious, but it was more, there was no, you know, this or that. It was, you know, either this or that, you know. MTH and Lionel kind of reached a mutual agreement where they wound up working together, and actually, as train enthusiasts, we benefited greatly from that. Now, the K-Line story, that's a totally different thing. K-Line just, I mean, from the beginning, they said, no, you know, this is our stuff, you know, we developed this on our own. Well, I mean, Lionel had the proof. They, you know, in 2005, you know, computers were fairly sophisticated. They're able to see where somebody had hacked into their system and stolen all this stuff. Well, K-Line. So they went through the court process, and of course, you know, Lionel won, and K-Line actually got off fairly easy by most people's definition. Now, it's been talked about and tossed around. Would K-Line have been able to survive after that court decision? The court decision was basically that they had to, you know, obviously cease and desist making the Lionel stuff, and they had to pay royalties for the stuff that they had, you know, already sold. And so anyway, but before history could decide any of that, you know, if K-Line would come to pull themselves out of that or not, well, the settlement had not yet been finalized, and K-Line, for reasons I can't fathom, put out this press release that basically said that they had done nothing wrong. This so infuriated the judge that the judge just, I mean, he threw the book at them. I mean, basically cease and desist all. And basically threw K-Line into bankruptcy. Lionel was able to take some of their things and sell them for some time. There was a K-Line by Lionel for some time. And thus was pretty much the demise of K-Line. I will say that the K-Line stuff that I have, from everything that I can tell, was actually probably, frankly, a superior product to Lionel. The plastic seems to be a little thicker, the cars seem to be a little heavier. Basically, the quality just seems a little bit better. So, I mean, it's just a shame that they were doing so well in some regards, and then would be taken down by, well, basically what they were accused of, which was, what, industrial espionage. I mean, wow. I mean, who thought who thought the model train world had such a dark side? It came out that not only had K-Line hired the chief engineer, they had also hired at least one other employee of Lionel. I mean, this was a very elaborate scheme that one can only imagine what the thinking was on that. So anyway, that's the K-Line story. That's what happened to K-Line. Once again, it is a real shame because I think they had some really good stuff. You know, I don't know if we'd be talking about K-Line instead of Lionel to that degree, but I mean, this is some really nice stuff, guys. So that's the story of K-Line. It's just, I mean, when I read that the first time, I was like, this has got to be, this has got to be just like urban legend or a story that somebody made up. But no, you can go online and you can actually see the court judgment and everything, and just it's real. Just wow. So what I might do is I might link in the description to where you can view the the court document. But just yeah, that's what happened. And K-Line, I guess they got taken down by, for lack of a better word, greed. Wow. I think there's probably a lesson to be learned there because, I mean, like I said, this is some really, really nice stuff. Wow. All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed the story of K-Line. I enjoyed it, but like I say, I'm sad that, we lost this. And it really was a loss for us, being in the train hobby, because I feel like had that not happened, we probably would be looking at some different stuff right now. Much like the MTH influence, I think this would have had an influence and probably would have been better for all of us. All right, guys. Well, that's all of it. That's the K-Line. I hope you pop some popcorn because it was quite a story. Wow. All right, guys. Well, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, please. And if you're one of our current subscribers, thank you, thank you, thank you. We could not do these shenanigans without you. You are the lifeblood. We appreciate you guys. I appreciate your likes, your camaraderie, your friendship. I mean, really, you guys are the best. Now, if you're not yet a current subscriber, why not? This was awesome. Why would you want to miss out on shenanigans like this? All right, guys, that's all for tonight. GGS Railways out.